Hi y'all, today we're going to be talking about the Skorpios, the Directive submachine gun reward for the Vanu upon Araxing 4 submachine guns. So the Skorpios, like pretty much all other Vanu directive weapons, has heat, and that is its major gimmick, like pretty much all other Vanu directive weapons. And, like directive weapons, it is based off the starter weapon, in this case, the Eridani, which makes it a little more unique from the other submachine guns. So, the big thing I just want to mention right now is most submachine guns in this game, barring a handful like the MKV, the PDW, have 6 meters of max damage range up to 11 with SPA. The Eridani and Skorpios instead have 10 out to 15. And this is going to help the Skorpios a lot in the role I find myself using it the most, which is a close to mid-range submachine gun. So, the Skorpios is pretty average in terms of damage. You're 750 at 143, which is just standard. The velocity is just meh. Your reload speed is a flat 1.74, but that doesn't really matter because the only time you'll actually use that raw reload speed is if you manually reload the weapon, which you probably won't do, or if you overheat, which you might do by accident, but still, it's a pretty quick reload, all things considered. Because if you compare it to the Eridani, that's the Eridani's short reload. So you have a super comfy reload speed on top of being on heat. Makes this gun extremely easy to use, even if you accidentally overextend your magazine. Your hip and aim stats are standard, just standard like all other submachine guns. So, the Skorpios, in short, is, for me, I personally find it most effective as a close to mid-range aim-down sights machine gun. It's not bad at hip firing, I just personally find that, owing to its longer damage range, I find you can get more use out of going for headshots a little bit farther out. So, personally, I build mine for aim-down sights. Optics are, of course, up to you. Barrel is up to you as well. If you want to go without a barrel, that's fine. If you want to go with the suppressor and go for maybe a more hip-fire stealth build, it works well. I mean, it's a hybrid, so it's just a good suppressor. If you want to go with the comp, yes, you lose some hip-fire accuracy, but you're really going to benefit yourself coming to aim-down sights, which I personally find is more effective, but, you know, a lot of people like to hip-fire. I'm just one of the weird people that prefers to aim-down sights in most circumstances. But as a hip-fire submachine gun, it works just fine. Or you can just simply leave the barrel blank. For your rail, both the grip and the laser are fine. Notably, unlike other Araxium submachine guns, you do not have access to extended mags here. Or rather, extended mags is not built into the weapon. With something like the Tempest and the Shuriken, extended mags built into the base of the weapon. So you can basically get extended mags plus a grip or a laser compared to your standard option. Here, because you're on heat, you have to deal with 25 rounds. You can't take an extended to get to 35. You're stuck at 25. Grip or laser, though, both fine. If you go hipfire, obviously take the laser. If you go grip, or if you go ADS, take the grip. Like, both are fine. If you run a dark light, I'm sorry for you. Ammo. Now, this is the interesting part of Skorpios. You get access to unstable. I would not use it. Unless you want to try and hipfire at stupid ranges, it's not worth your time. I would go for soft point. Like the other directive submachine guns, you get access to high velocity. It is also junk. Like, you're not going to be using this gun past 30 meters anyway. Taking high velocity is kind of just throwing, because you're cutting into some of the Skorpios and Eridani's main benefit, which is 10 meters max damage range. Better to extend that to 15 with soft point than go down to 8 with high velocity. Not to mention the velocity increase and decrease doesn't really matter because it's so low in the first place, so it's not bad. It's just basically run soft point, run laser, grip, and then run the barrel of your choice. Run the optic of your choice, although because it's a sub, I would not go above 1. I personally like to leave it bare because I like the look of the irons, but that is because I am strange. So, into the live footage. Hello there, Dark Horse. He's a friend of mine, and I see he's noticed that I'm online. Shoot him in the face. Nascent's Defiance. The continent's just rotated. It is Connery at 6:48 p.m. So, you know, into live impressions. Nascent's is a base you'll be seeing a lot, so it should be a fairly good representation of the Skorpios. So, the Skorpios, like most submachine guns, does favor closer range fights, but you can make it work. Owing to its longer damage range, it does work a little bit farther out than other submachine guns, but you're still going to wish you had a PDW if you really want a range submachine gun. Or a Gladius. Of course, you don't get access to one on DS, but the point is still being made that range submachine guns don't really exist as a niche, because at the point where they're actually useful, just grab a scout rifle. So, yeah, here we are, in the middle of Nascents. of course, the live quote-unquote section of the review, as usual. This is a weapon. This was actually my first directive weapon. And I personally am happy I got it first. I just got blown up by a friendly frag. No, that's an NSO mine. Never mind. I think that bamboozled. So, here, maybe before we go into another section of fight, let's just talk about this gun. Is it worth it as a directive grind? And the answer to this is maybe. The Skorpios, I would argue, is an upgrade on the Eridani. That said, the Sirius is generally a better submachine gun here. Unless you really want the gimmick of a heat submachine gun, you don't really need the Skorpios. Is it cool? Yes. Is it nice? Yes. However, it's arguably one of the least, not least, but it's definitely among the lesser desirable Vonu directive weapons. It just doesn't really, it's not good enough. Like, all you're really getting here over in Eridani is heat. And you're still probably better off with the Sirius in most situations. It's not bad. It's good, it's just, you already have a Sirius, and heat is a mechanic you can find a lot elsewhere. For example, go around an Eclipse, go around a Beetle. So it's not bad, I just, unless you're really into submachine guns, I probably wouldn't recommend it. That said, because it has longer range than other submachine guns, you can make it work reasonably effectively on a light assault. Especially if you're going for unstable ammo. That's the real gimmick it has, is that you can take unstable ammo on a submachine gun. Do I think it's the right move? No. Let's not deny that it's a gimmick. It's not like it was launch day cannons. It sure is unstable ammo, and it sure is gonna hurt if you can aim for headshots. That's kind of a lot what you can say with the Skorpios. It's not bad, it's just not something really worth striving for. It's a very hard weapon to talk about, I find, in that fact, because most directive weapons have some kind of, unique feature of them that really makes them stand out compared to other options. But the Vonu directive weapons all kind of suffer from, they have the exact same gimmick across the board. They have access to heat. So, I'm still too used to manually reloading. You don't have to do this. In fact, I recommend learning how not to force yourself to reload, but the habit that you'll probably just have. I got extremely lucky there. I should have died. I don't even remember what I was saying. Live. The Skorpios, it's like a lot of Vonu directive weapons. Heat isn't enough to carry them out of being mediocre guns. I talked about this actually a lot in my Schrodinger review, where a lot of how good a directive weapon is, no matter how good gimmick you throw on it, it's still going to be inherently based on how good the starter option is. This is why some directive weapons are just kind of bad, no matter what gimmicks they have, because the weapon they're based on isn't that good. And unfortunately, it's kind of the same story here with the Skorpios. The Eridani is fine, but it's nothing particularly good, and there's not really a reason to be excited for it. I just misplayed really hard. So, unfortunately, yes, heat is an interesting gimmick, especially on a classic and cloak, and won't deny. However, how many times do you really just burn all the rounds available to your Eridani, or even your Sirius? How many times are you going to be absolutely drawing all those rounds? And at that point, isn't it nicer to have 35 rounds in case you screw up a couple shots or you don't have downtime to reload than to have unlimited ammo? Because unlike some of the other heat-based weapons like the Beetlegeese or even the Eclipse, or even as mediocre as it is in the Darkstar, it doesn't really serve a purpose on the Skorpios. On the Beetlegeese, as long as you're balancing your target spawn, you can basically keep that gun up and active for as long as you need to. Because with a high magazine size, you can just kind of keep checking your shots, and you can basically keep it fully sustained. You don't ever need full downtime. The Eclipse is much the same way, albeit to a lesser capacity. The Darkstar, if you're constantly switching in and out of your res tool, at least your gun's being cooled down by itself. As bad as the Darkstar is, at least it has that going for it. But heat on the Skorpios doesn't really do anything, because most of the times with some machine guns, you're going to pick one, maybe two targets, and then you're going to reload. And because you're an infiltrator, you have a lot of time to find a spot to reload. It's not like you're ever going to be pressured for time to get a reload in. So, while you do get the interesting gimmick of haha unlimited ammo on a submachine gun, this doesn't really matter as a feature. And being able to just keep your gun active doesn't really matter either, because you have plenty of downtime to reload, especially because the Eridani already has very quick reload speeds in a 1.74 short. So, that's the thing. It's not bad, it's just the Skorpios. It's not, well, it is just the Skorpios. But it really just feels like an Eridani that you trade, having, say, extended mags on, for what really accounts to unlimited ammo, in the very rare situations that you'll actually be able to drain, say, the Eridani of all of its standard ammo. So, as I keep saying, while that's not bad, it doesn't feel worthwhile. Heat as a mechanic on submachine guns doesn't offer enough over, say, the Beagle, or heat on an LMG is an extremely powerful trait. But on a SMG, where you're already playing light assault, where you can just move and get to a better position, or infiltrator, where you can just cloak, what's the purpose of having full up, potential full sustain? And the answer is there really isn't any. And that's just the weapon's ultimate downfall. Is it a cool toy? Yeah. But honestly, if you're looking for an interesting experience or a gun that truly benefits from heat, because, let's face it, your only experience with heat will probably be the directive weapons, you can do it better elsewhere. It's not bad. It just feels strange. I honestly genuinely believe that if they wanted to go with this high sustain mechanic, it would have worked better on the Shuriken, the TR submachine gun. Because a high capacity submachine gun that had heat would genuinely make for a pretty useful argument, because you'd have the magazine size to actually take use of heat, be able to kind of keep the gun fully sustained. But on a weapon with only 25 rounds in the magazine, heat doesn't really matter. The gun's going to have plenty of time to cool down, or you would be able to get a normal reload anyway. It's not bad, it's just pointless. I appreciate that they tried to make something out of the Skorpios, especially given that the prior incarnation, where all the directive submachine guns used to be aimed down sights guns, having high velocity on them. I appreciate that they tried to make it at least somewhat okay, but it's not useful. It's just not a useful quality to have on a gun like this. And I know I'm repeating myself, but I really cannot drive that point home enough. Heat is not worthwhile on this gun. And given that the entire Vono directive gimmick is Here's Heat on your starter weapons, this kind of kills the entire purpose of this submachine gun. Because why would you use this when you can just put extended mags on your Eridani? Or, why would you use this when you could just use Sirius? It's just kind of baffling, honestly. If they had decided to build at least some kind of extended mags into this thing, say maybe take it to 30 rounds instead of 25, maybe it'd be a bit better. But still, it's just, the Infiltrator as a class and Heat as a mechanic don't work well together. Igorar made the same point when he was talking about the Eclipse in his Directive Carbines video. When you have a class that is very easily able to make its own positioning to reload and recoup before another engagement, Heat as a mechanic rapidly loses value. Because the whole point of Heat on a gun is to be able to keep it sustained, provided you can manage it. But if you already have plenty of time to reload, what's the point? Why wouldn't you just pick a better gun? And that's really all there is to say. It doesn't offer anything. So, that's basically it. I mean, it's okay, it's just, why would you bother raxing 4 submachine guns for an Eridani that looks shiny? Unless you really, really love the Eridani. There's not really a purpose to it. Go grab an Eclipse, go grab a Beetle, go grab something that is just more interesting, better, and makes actual use of the gimmick, if that's what you're even looking for in the first place. And if you want to grind a submachine gun, do the Tempest or the Shuriken. They're far better weapons, with far more useful traits on them, than this thing. So, overall, like, it's alright, it's just, it doesn't really have a purpose, and the gimmick presented to it isn't very useful. So, that's really the recap is, it's fine, it's just, unfortunately, it's an Eridani with a heat gimmick that doesn't really allow you to do anything with said gimmick. So, for 4 Araxiums, honestly, for 4 Araxiums, just do 1 more and get an Eclipse, get a Beetle, hell, get a Revenant, get a Darkstar. It's just, it doesn't offer anything. So, that's it. Thank you very much. Thank you for hearing me tangent, and I will hopefully see you another time. Bye.